Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our monthly meeting of the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. It is our custom at this time. I'd like to introduce you all to Officer Ott. Officer Ott is here to represent all our first responders and all the employees of Cobb County. It's his pleasure today to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if we'd all please rise, Officer Ott will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Officer Ott. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are here for the first time, let me give you a little introduction on how we're going to conduct the meeting today. The first thing that we will concern ourselves with is the held and continued cases from last month. We're going to start off with those, and then we'll go into our consent agenda. Then we'll go into our regular agenda. As we proceed, the process will go this way. Mr. Terry Martin, our zoning administrator, will read each case into the record, and as he does, as your name is called as the applicant, he or she will raise their hand to identify themselves. Likewise, if there's anybody here in opposition to any of these particular cases, when their time is called, they will also raise their hand, and we will identify them as being in opposition. If we have any opposition to any particular case, we will pull that case and hear it in its regular numeric order as it comes before us. Then we go into the consent agenda, and again, the process is the same. These are not only applications that our board has verified and checked, but also our professional and engineering staff have gone through these cases. To our knowledge, there's no known opposition in any of these particular cases. But again, as the cases are read, the applicant will identify themselves. Likewise, if there's anybody here in any opposition to these consent agenda cases, if they would identify themselves, again, if we have opposition, we will pull that case here in its regular numeric order. And then we go into our regular agenda. The process will be the same. Those of you that are going to give testimony, our officer today is Ms. Bates. Ms. Bates will call, whoever's going to give testimony will call you forward. You'll be sworn in. All testimony will be given to the podium to my right. With that said, Terry, do you have any special announcements to make at this time?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I simply ask that anyone here today with a cell phone, please make sure you have the ringer turned off or silenced, as it will interfere with our broadcast.
Okay, let's get right into our case numbers. Let's start off with V53, I believe, Terry.
Okay. Would you like to start with the held case?
Yes, let's start with those. Yeah, sure. No, let's go to held, and then we'll go. I'm going to follow the process right on down. Go to held cases first, Terry.
Okay. First, we have V53, which is Juanita Galvin. Is that V53? Yeah, there we go. Juanita Galvin requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure over 144 square feet, approximately 406 square foot proposed gazebo, from the required 35 feet to 19 feet, to reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure over 144 square feet, the approximately 364 square foot existing wood building, from the required 35 feet to 11 feet, and reduce the side setback for an accessory structure over 144 square feet, the approximately 364 square foot existing wood building, from the required 10 feet to 5 feet adjacent to the south property line in land lot 204 of the 19th District, located on the west side of Villa Court, south of La Villa Drive. Is the applicant present? The applicant is present. Would the applicant and anyone else wishing to speak for or against please come forward to be sworn in?
Okay, applicant, if you come forward, I think you have a translator with you. All right, ladies, for the purpose of the record, if you would give us your name, please, first.
Maria Hernandez.
And,
That's Juanita.
Juanita Galvin.
That's
okay,
my mom.
okay. Tell us what you want.
Okay, we were here last month because we're building a gazebo, and we didn't ask for a permit because we didn't know we needed it. And they moved it to this month because no one has been at the property to look at the gazebo.
Okay,
But they did win last Wednesday.
all right. Anything else you'd like to tell us?
No.
Okay, for the purpose of the record, is anybody here in opposition to case V53? Hearing and not seeing anybody. Fred Beloin represents that district, so I'm going to turn it over to Fred.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I appreciate you taking time to meet with me a couple weeks back or a week ago. And my understanding is you're willing to put up a couple of Noliar hollies behind both the gazebo or something similar, an evergreen behind both the gazebo and behind the permanent storage structure on the rear left. And you're willing to stipulate no one will live in that storage structure. That's only for storage, no heating, air, or plumbing to go to that structure, correct?
No.
Okay. That's all I have. I'm ready to make a motion
Okay,
when
I
you're
don't
ready.
think we have any other comments. We're ready for a motion, Fred.
Okay, the motion would be to approve the variance to allow the existing storage structure to remain, subject to the condition that it not have any heating and air, it not be utilized for a residence of any kind or living space. It's solely to be used for storage. They will put at least 2 Noliar hollies behind it or some other form of bushes or trees to help provide some positive visual benefit to their neighbor to the rear. And the same with the gazebo they're building to the right side of the backyard, which is under construction right now, that they will add a couple of Noliars or other visual screening type of plants back there to make that more aesthetically pleasing from their neighbor's perspective. Subject to that, those 2 structures, the one which is already under construction, the one which is existing, will be allowed as variances.
Second. Thank you.
I've got a motion, I've got a second. Now, wait, before I call for the question, we kind of need the county arborist to be in charge of the planning, so we want to add that to it. Somebody's got to approve the plantings.
If the county arborist is willing to drive out and
That's
participate,
normally
that's fine.
that's normally our procedure, so we'll add that. The
May I
only
say
other thing that I
something?
noticed we're missing is no business out of the other building.
Oh, that's fine. No business can be conducted. It can't be used for public storage. It's only for your
Oh,
personal
no, it's
storage.
just for our tools.
Mr. Chairman, that's an excellent add.
Great, I got a motion, got a second, call for vote. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to approve your application 5-0. Thank you very
so
much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so
Have a
much.
nice day.
Thank you.
Okay, Terry, what's our next one? 58?
Correct. We have V58, which is Mark Kurkowski, requesting a variance to reduce the setbacks for a detached accessory structure over 1,000 square feet, the proposed 1,200 square foot garage from the required 100 feet to 50 feet adjacent to the south property line, and to 30 feet, which was granted under the previously approved V53 of 2018 to 95 feet from the rear property line in land lot 192 and 193 of the 20th District, located on the west side of County Line Road, south of Pittner Road. Is the applicant present? Okay, the applicant is present. Would the applicant, anyone wishing to speak for or against, please come forward and be sworn in?
And again, sir, if you would give us your name.
Mark Kurkowski, sir.
Okay, now, we've heard the case, so tell us what's transpired since last month. You want to fill us in what's transpired since last month?
Well, as you all request and everything, I went through and adjusted it down to the single location. I got with Mr. Bearden, probably saying his name wrong. David?
Yeah, that's right.
Right, thank you. And we did everything and worked it out to where it meets all his requirements as far as that goes.
Anything else, Mark, you want to tell us?
No, sir.
All right, for the purpose of the record, is anybody here in opposition to case V58? Hearing and not seeing anybody, again, it's back to this board for discussion. Fred Beloin represents that District 1, so Fred, I'm going to turn it over to you again.
Thank you. We are the epicenter of accessory structures in District 1. I would like to point out, it's a thing. If Mr. Braden or Bearden, our king of stormwater, could come forward, I just want to confirm that we aren't creating any problems here.
It is Braden. Been dealing with that since
Or
grade
it is
school.
King,
It
one or
either
the
gets
other.
spelled wrong or pronounced wrong, so you can't win either way. Yes, the applicant has provided him with an exhibit that showed where the buffer was, and he's adjusted the building and the drive to be outside the impervious setback for the buffer. So when he comes through for permitting, we should be good.
So while you're still up there, if the applicant has a copy somewhere in the room, perhaps, of the precise location of the structure, so we can confirm with stormwater management that we don't have a problem there. We'll just have that in the record.
And I've submitted all that to the zoning along with the red stamp also from, was it Health? So I've got all that.
Okay. If you could point out to us precisely where this structure is going to be, and,
Right here, this line right here.
yes, sir?
Thank you, sir. Testing, there we go. This line right here is the buffer that he was talking about for the water. As you can see, the building is located over here with the driveway going up. So it is with no factor inside that.
And you'll have electrical back there for your usage, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
But
sir.
will there be heating and air provided to that?
At this point in time, no, sir.
Okay,
Because
well,
it's just going to be a garage that I'm, putting a lift in,
Okay.
so,
Will there be, lift is fine, but will there be any finished space at all in that garage?
no, sir, be no living space at all, no water.
We want you to have water occasionally, but, okay. No finished space, no plumbing,
No, sir.
all right. With that, seeing that location, we're still fine, Mr. Braden? Thank you very much. All right. Can you just bring that up to me so I can try to make a precise identification?
Boy, don't talk too much till I get you back on the microphone.
You can go back to the microphone and say whatever else you'd like to.
I say, the second one right there is the GSI that, I say David. Provide also to show the topical with, for both of them, so you have a better visual of it.
Okay. And I'm ready to make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
I think we're ready for it.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just one quick question. I heard the mention of electrical. Do we know if that will require a second electrical meter?
Yes, I have put that in for the variance on the request, sir. It is part of it, yes,
I
sir.
want to make sure to make mention of
Yeah,
that.
that was the request a year ago.
No, sir, it's on,
So it's on this
this one on
request.
V58, yes, sir.
So just want to make sure that's included.
Okay. Okay. Fred?
Okay. So I'm ready to move to approve, that we approve the variance as requested today and as modified and made clear by the drawing shown as June 2019, which is essentially a topo showing a location in black of the driveway and of the accessory structure. Also, with a second drawing, which started off as a stamp survey, but has handwriting in it that I think is not from a surveyor, but that it shows the buffer and it shows the precise location of the driveway and of the accessory structure. And we'd also give a variance to allow him to have a second electrical meter if needed for his lift, provided, however, and on condition that he will not be allowed to have any finished space in that in this accessory structure. He will not have any plumbing in that accessory structure, and he will not use that accessory structure as for housing purposes in any sense,
Business.
or any business purpose. This is a collection of antique cars. You're going to
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay.
that's my motion.
Got a motion. I've got a second. Any other discussion? Not hearing any. Call for the vote. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to approve that with a 5-0 vote. Mark, thank you very
thank you.
much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a nice day.
You too, take care.
Terry, where am I?
That should bring us to our consent agenda.
Let's go to the consent agenda. And ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we're going to read each case into the record. And again, as we do, the applicant will identify themselves. If there's any opposition, they also will identify themselves. So let's get started. Terry?
Okay. This is the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals variance hearing consent agenda, July 10th, 2019. First, we have V57, Jason Walker, requesting a variance to allow parking and/or maneuvering of vehicles on a non-hardened and treated surface for lots 1 and 2 in land lot 451 of the 19th District, located on the south side of Macklin Road, west of Florence Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to traffic comments, design guideline comments, and fire department comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposing this request?
Okay.
Seeing no one opposed. Next, we have V59, Dwayne L. Henderson, requesting a variance to allow a detached accessory structure, the existing approximately 550 square foot building, to the side of the principal building, and reduce the rear setback for a detached accessory structure under 650 square feet, the existing approximately 289 square foot shed number 2, from the required 35 feet to 3 feet in land lots 514 and 515 of the 18th District, located on the south side of Flamingo Drive, west of Wade Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to development inspection comments, and the encroachment is shown on the site plan received by the zoning division May 3rd, 2019. Is the applicant present? The applicant is present. Is there anyone here in opposition to this request? Seeing no opposition. Next, we have V60, which is Samuel John Todd, requesting a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet, the proposed 1,680 square foot sport court, from the required 100 feet to 19 feet adjacent to the western property line and to 4 feet adjacent to the rear property line, and reduce the front setback from the required 45 feet to 40 feet in land lot 1039 of the 17th District, located on the southern terminus of Woodruff Plantation Parkway, east of Hallmark Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is the applicant for V60 present? The applicant's present. Is there anyone here in opposition? We do have 3 in
3
opposition.
Okay, we'll pull that particular case and we'll hear it as it comes up in its regular order.
Okay, so putting that on regular, that brings
Okay.
us to V63, who is Peter Geiger, requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback from the required 30 feet to 20 feet in land lot 744 of the 17th District, located on the northwest corner of Trayborn Square and Lafitte Square. Staff recommends approval, subject to development inspection comments and site plan review comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is present. Is there anyone here in opposition to this request? There is no opposition. And finally, we have V64, Catherine Monroe, requesting a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious surface from 40% to 51% in land lot 675 of the 17th District, located at the northern terminus of Asheville Lane, north of Cooper Lake Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to development inspection comments, site plan review comments, and stormwater management comments. Is the applicant for V64 present? Let the record show the applicant is present. And is there anyone here in opposition to this request?
All right, we've got 2 people in opposition, so we will pull case V64 and hear it as it comes up in its regular order.
So that would conclude the consent agenda.
Okay, well. All right, comments from board members? Not hearing any? Call for a motion. Judy?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented with the exception of V60 and V64.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I've got a motion second. Let's call for the vote. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you that were on the consent agenda, your business is complete with us for today. We're going to approve that with a 5-0 vote.
Unless they were removed.
And with the exception of V60 and V64, those people will have to remain. All right, folks, those of you that are on the consent, you're free to go. All right, Terry, let's go back. Where are we now?
So that would take us to our regular cases and starting in numerical order with V60, which was pulled from consent.
V60. All right, let's go to V60.
So for V60, we have Samuel John Todd requesting a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet, the proposed 1,680 square foot sport court from the required 100 feet to 19 feet adjacent to the western property line and to 4 feet adjacent to the rear property line, and reduce the front setback from the required 45 feet to 40 feet in land lot 1039 of the 17th District, located at the southern terminus of Woodruff Plantation Parkway, east of Hallmark Drive. Would the applicant and anyone wishing to speak please come forward to be sworn in?
Those of you that are going to give testimony either in opposition or in favor, come forward and let's get you sworn in. Either in opposition or in favor, please come forward. All right, we'll hear from the applicant at this time. The rest of you folks could have a seat right up front if you like. All right, sir, again, for the purpose of the record, if you would, please give us your name.
Samuel John Todd.
All right, Mr. Todd, tell us what you want.
I appreciate your time for the board, considering this was on the consent agenda. It had been looked at carefully and would be approved otherwise without opposition. So thank you for your time. This court is directly behind my house. It serves a purpose of basically having a place to exercise. It consists of a concrete slab, and it would have a net in the center of it. There's no superstructure, there's no outlying structures, there's no plumbing, there's no electrical. My daughter here is here with me today, discovered pickleball while she was going to college out of state, and came back and brought it to her mom and I since we were avid tennis players. We went to Fuller's Park and got hooked on it and have been playing ever since. So instead of having a portable net in our driveway in front, now we can just go to the backyard and play as well. I also have a daughter that lives close by with a 2-year-old and 1-year-old granddaughter. So this will provide them a place for bikes and trikes. It's very private. It's really not visible to anyone behind because there's 1,500 acres of woods. It doesn't impact anyone. I'd like to thank Mr. McDaniel for coming out and looking at it. So basically, he explained the process and how this works. And it's a level lot with almost no intrusiveness for developing at all. And it has no stormwater runoff issues, impervious surface. It meets all the requirements of that. And I think it'll be a nice addition. The neighbors on both sides have pools. I'm the only one in my cul-de-sac that does not have a pool. There's 40 lots in Woodruff Plantation, 39 homes. 19 of those have pools. So the actual court itself will be 20 feet wide by 44 feet long, which is about the size of a pool. The neighbor facing the house to the left will never be able to see any part of this at all. Has no impact whatsoever. The other neighbor on the other side has a pool. He'll see just about as much of this as I see of his pool. So it's for our own personal use. It will be used for family and friends that we would invite over, just as you would if someone has a pool, like neighbors invite me over to their pool that live in the neighborhood. So we've already run this past the Homeowners Association. It was approved even before I requested the variance. There was a Homeowner Association meeting a few weeks ago. I brought it up so that everyone knew what that sign was if they had seen it. Many people had not even seen it, and no one had any questions. There were no concerns expressed at that time. I've been involved with the HOA and the ACC since the beginning, since I purchased the first lot in here. So I'm very aware of the development, very aware of the approval process. We wanted to make sure we dotted the i's and crossed the t's and stayed within our boundaries. We've never in that homeowner association disapproved a pool. We've never. There's a putting green, there's a chipping green, other things of that nature. What I'm proposing is much less invasive than just about all of those. So I appreciate your consideration.
All right, Mr. Todd, before you leave there, we have a picture of your property there. And the gentleman's right behind you. Can you locate exactly where that cord is going to go? Is that the arrow pointing at it now?
It's as close to the back of the house as it can possibly be.
Do you see the arrow? Do you see
Yes,
the
sir.
arrow moving? Can you see the arrow moving?
I do.
Is that approximately where it's going to go?
No, sir, it's going, well, yes, that area, that's a grassed area right there. That
Okay.
is correct.
Okay.
And it's as tight to that back patio as I can, it's
Okay.
actually going to be adjacent to it.
All right. Thank you, sir. If you would, have a seat now, we'll hear from the opposition. First speaker. All
Mr.
right, sir,
Chairman,
if you would. give
Mr.
us-
Chairman, please remind the opposition they have a total of 10 minutes.
We have a total of
Yes.
10 minutes. I think we'll make you aware of that as we go along. You start the clock over there, Madam Secretary. Okay, start the clock. All right, sir, give us your name, please.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Groves. I am an attorney. I represent the owners on either side of this
You
proposal.
represent both owners on each side.
That's correct.
Okay, go ahead, Mark.
The owner on the left with the swimming pool is a recent purchaser in 2019. His name is Andre Mora. And then the owner on, as we look at on the right side, is Dr. Keith Aglagi, who's been, I think, at that location for several years. I'm hoping that perhaps the gentleman can zoom out a little bit and give an impression and maybe move it up even a little so that you all can see that this is the very edge of essentially the National Park Service National Recreation Area. And what we're talking about is, first, it's essentially the edge of a valley with quite a bit of decline from these properties downward. Lots of forest. I believe my clients indicate that there's even a deer trail that goes through Mr. Moore's property and Mr. Todd's property that's probably going to be affected by this proposal. I'd also like to point out that in this entire subdivision, I think there's 39 homes, there's only one property that has a tennis court. It was put in 1973, and the large majority of the court is in a second lot that's behind him. It's to the north of this. And then on the backside of that tennis court is the backside of other residential development. It's not a tennis court that's right on the edge of the National Forest area. My clients are concerned in a number of respects. First, you'll notice that these lots have these long tails on them. And I can't speak for who actually designed this, but it clearly has the effect of creating extra buffer to enjoy the forest from the backyard. What we're talking about here, especially for Mr. Moore, is now he has to deal with tennis activity, and it interferes with his quiet enjoyment of the forest. And then there's disruption of the forest itself. The Audubon Society has indicated this is an important bird area. There are issues with trees as well. And if one were to look at the covenants for this HOA, one of its primary objectives is to preserve the forest and tree nature of this subdivision. And so I'm here to say on behalf of my clients that they oppose. They'd like to point out that the application did not make an effort to get the approval of the neighboring owners. The owners are here to say they don't approve. We're not sure from what we have, perhaps there's more updated information, but we don't see the porous soil analysis as to whether the 30% requirement is being met. And then the actual drawing that was presented had a 15-foot setback instead of the 100-foot setback. It's an enormous reduction from 100 feet to 4 feet. And then the one thing that from a neighborly standpoint, it appears that the front of the building, the front of Mr. Todd's home is over a setback line by a few feet. And we are not opposed to him having a variance for the existing encroachment on the front, that's from the, but on the back side, we do not, we are not in favor of the, of any structure of this nature, and it would be unusual for this community. And once you grant this one, you'll be coming with more.
You're taking up a lot of time. Let's get some other speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Terry, I'm not getting a clock over here. Is that clock running? I don't have it. Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead, sir. Tell
Hello,
us your name.
I'm Andre Mora. I'm the neighbor of the westerly side on the left side there.
Yes, sir.
One of the issues I do have is the site of the sports court. It's slated to be 19 feet away from the property line, so the majority of this court is going to be mostly to the left side of their house.
Right.
Okay. There's an existing pathway for a vehicle to get down now. I'm not sure if a driveway is going to be put in later after this is built. I don't know if lighting is going to be erected for nighttime play. Because we have 2 bedrooms on the 3rd floor, 2nd floor, and our office is on the basement, all faces that side there. I'm concerned with the amount of trees that may be cut. Because in an HOA agreement is we don't take down trees unless they're diseased.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, let's have next speaker.
Hello, gentlemen. My name is Dr. Kidek Lagi. I'm the gentleman who lives on the other side of his property. My concern is a lot of traffic that would be coming because he says his friends or something, but I believe me, he's going to have a lot of traffic and people coming over there doing all noise. And also, the way they show it over there is not exactly what the drawing shows. If I may, you may have to present it to you
Yeah,
all.
we can put that on the board for you.
You see, it's very closer to Andrea's property. And my concern is about the forest and water. You know, you put in that much space on concrete, where's the water going to go? As a civil engineer, PhD civil engineer, I know how it happens, a lot of things. I just wanted y'all make sure that we don't have if he wants to go to, let's go say gym, we have a gym, less than 3 miles. Windy Hill Sporting Club, they have a 20 tennis court. They have a LA Fitness, they have Windy Hill Sporting Club, they have a lot of fitness. I go Windy Hill. So they have a lot of tennis courts, so they can go there. It's not a big deal, everybody does.
Anything else, sir?
I apologize.
Anything else?
That'd be all, sir.
Thank you. If you would, next speaker, please. Wait a minute, sir. Let me see if I have any more speakers. Do I have any more speakers?
Sure.
Anybody that's sworn in doesn't want to speak? All right, come on back up, sir.
I just wanted, could a summary of our opposition be added to the record?
You have to come back up to the microphone.
Could a summary of our opposition be added to the record?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in opposition? How much time we have left? 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Anybody wishing to speak in support? You've already spoken. Is there anybody else who wants to speak? Okay, come on up. We'll swear you in. We got 3 minutes. We're going to get everybody's comments today.
Hello guys, my name's Christina Todd and I am the daughter of these 2 wonderful people over here. And I have brought the sport of pickleball to them, thank goodness, because, you know, in their old age, we can do something as a family. And we have enjoyed this more than anything in the world, and it's fun that my doubles partner is actually my almost 70-year-old mom. So it's very fun that we were able to enjoy a sport like this as a family. But as our oppositions have said, it is not affecting any deer wildlife. I'm an avid deer lover. I do occasionally feed our deer corn just to go feed the deer, and we love watching them. It's so much fun. My little niece just goes out there and just gets there. I mean, it's incredible to be where we live. And there's no deer trails. There's deer trails all over. There's deer trails any which way you look if you just walk in the woods and have any idea what you're looking for. So we love our deer. We take care of our animals. We have 3 dogs, 5 cats, and we just love living where we live. So the next door neighbor to the left of us has a pool, which is obviously shown, and he's concerned about the noise or the lights, and we're not putting any lights. We don't make very much noise. Pickleball is not very a loud sport yet. He has people over there all the time to, jump in the pool, and there's, just noise. There's a lot of noise. But he's also put lights around the fence of his area, which has impacted our vision of wildlife because a lot of deer don't come over there anymore, even because of the lights. But he has his lights on his pool constantly. So if he's concerned about the lighting on our pool or on our court, there's going to be no lighting whatsoever, yet we see his pool every single night, bright and shiny, and also we see he put a horrible light on his deck that has impeded our natural view of our beautiful deck and backyard. It's just it's not impeding anything, and we've already planted trees that have blocked their view even more so that they wouldn't have any opposition. And my dad's he's a contractor, so he's very, very thorough what he does. We're just doing this for a family, and we love what we do. So there's really shouldn't be any opposition. It's really not that close to his side of his line, and there's no reason. There's no trails. We let people come up from our trail all the time from the Park Service that we don't even know.
Sum up right now.
Okay. Well, anyways, I don't see any opposition to it. It's just for a fun small family thing, and it's not a tennis court. It's just a small court. So thank you guys for listening.
Thank you. I think our time has expired for everybody here. Mr. Brian McDaniel represents that district, so I'm going to turn over to Brian at this time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark, would you mind coming up for just a second for? No, over here, I'm sorry, the podium, sorry. I didn't get your last name, so.
All right, it's like many trees, groves, like orange
Groves, got it, okay. I just want to make sure I had that correct. All right, thank you, first off, for sharing some of your concerns. Are you a resident in the neighborhood?
No, I'm not.
You're not?
I'm a Cobb resident, but I'm not in this neighborhood.
Okay, just curious. And I'm also kind of curious as to why none of this might have been raised with the applicant before today, if it's been posted and
Well, I
the
suspect,
subject of HOA meetings and that sort of thing.
I suspect it's because I was engaged yesterday, and I don't know that they've attended a variance hearing before. They knew that the hearing was coming up, and Keith is a longtime friend of mine, and he asked if I would look into it. So I would have come to you all much sooner if I had a little more heads up myself.
Okay, well, it's just that this thing has been posted for over a month, and I would hope neighbors would see it, but nevertheless. Only other question I'm going to have is for Dave, so I'll open it up to the rest of the board for any other questions that they might have for.
Do you say you want to call Dave Brady?
In a minute, but before
Judy
we're
has
done
a
with.
I do. This is just a point I want to make, and Terry, I think, can agree with me. If they didn't call this
Pickleball.
if you didn't call this, he could build a slab right up to his property line. Is this correct? Just a cement slab you can build up to property line.
That would be correct, just, barring any
So I don't
impervious
know
limitations.
why somebody that would have a pool, which creates more noise than a cement slab would. I'm confused.
Can I comment on that? I believe that the definition within the zoning code says a structure includes surfaces like a tennis court.
But this
so-
isn't a tennis court. If it wasn't called that, what I'm saying is, if they didn't put a name to it.
If it was a patio.
If it was a patio or a deck or whatever, they could build it right up to the property line and nobody would have any say-so.
I believe that the same definition.
No, I know
think
the
it's 130
definition, believe me.
would include decks in a structure, if you're
But
talking about a deck.
a patio can go right up to the property, just like a driveway can go up to the property line.
All right.
And that's my point is, it just seems like because it has a name, we're having to go through a whole lot of procedure when I don't see how it hurts anybody.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Thank you, Judy. Anybody else wishing to make a comment at this time? All right, Brian, let's go back to you.
All right, so yeah, if I could just call Dave back up for 1 second, just to kind of confirm, if you will, Dave, that in terms of stormwater, there are no concerns
Dave,
there.
tell us
Just-
who you are.
Again, Dave Braden with the Stormwater Management Division. They are not close to the impervious limit on this lot. For this subdivision, it's 35% for the underlying zoning, so they're well under that. And the reason it might look so tight is these flag lots were done not to create a buffer, but to give enough lot area for these to be a permittable lot. So
Zoned
those
R40.
those extends out there to give them the lot area. So, but yeah, this lot tails way out to the east, and they're under the 35%. Yeah.
Let me point out, this is an R40 subdivision. We don't
is it 40?
see there's not a whole lot of R40s either built in Cobb County or left in Cobb County. So these are pretty good sized lots. I point that out to our listeners throughout the world that watch us on TV today, so.
Thanks, Dave.
Brian, anything else?
No, I actually don't have any other questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
so-
questions, comments from this board member, any board members? Just from my observation, I tend to agree with my colleague Brian. It's kind of a last minute situation. These signs have been posted for a month. All you folks live in the same neighborhood. I would have thought that a little discussion back and forth. If I sit here as a novice looking at this as I am today, I see the gentleman's pool to the right or left. The pool is smack right up against the property line. It doesn't seem to me, I think your concerns, and I think all your concerns are justifiable. If this Mr. Todd was going to run parties every night and run tour buses to come out and watch these tournaments, I could see where it could be a problem. But in an R40 subdivision, looking at these particular homes, I just don't see that happening, and I'm a little surprised that dialogue hasn't taken place before now to come before this board to try to make decisions. To point out what Ms. Williams was saying, as people get old, as people's knees fall apart, they can't play tennis, so they start playing pickleball. It's a big deal. It really, truly is, and it's getting bigger all the time. So, Brian, this is your district. I really don't have a whole lot of comments other than the little 2 cents I put in. Fred, do you have a
Yeah,
comment?
so my 2 cents, I'm also a member of Windy Hill Athletic, and to my knowledge, we don't have pickleball there. We do have a bunch of tennis, but I think the applicant's offer not to have lights on the courts is a very reasonable compromise so that they won't have a problem with any noise at night. I just don't see where this is any kind of a serious infringement on the use and enjoyment of the neighboring property whatsoever.
So we could make a stipulation, Brian, these are only examples. We can make a stipulation, there's no lights to be put on the pickleball court, nor tour buses to arrive there between 5 and 9 o'clock at night, so. All right, anybody else making a comment? All right, Brian, I'm gonna give back to you.
Yeah, no, actually, I'm fine with the staff recommendations as stated. So, Mr. Chairman, I will move to accept the variance application for case V60, subject to staff recommendations.
I've got a motion, I've got a second. Just by way of a comments, once we take this vote, folks, let me just say, you all live in that neighborhood, you're all gonna continue to be neighbors. Let's try to get together in the future, discuss these things before it comes before boards like this. Got a motion, got a second, no other comments, let's call for the vote. Here we go, we're gonna approve that with a 5-0 vote to approve this application V60. Okay? All right, Terry, where am I?
That should bring us to V61. V61 is
Okay,
Leonel Martinex, requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure, the existing approximately 672 square foot garage from the required 30 feet to 16 feet in land lots 57 and 88 of the 17th district, located on the south side of Birchwood Road, west of Favor Road. Is the applicant present? Would the applicant and anyone else wishing to speak, please come forward to be sworn in?
those of you that might give testimony on case V61, please come forward, both applicant, opposition, anybody who wants to give a comment, come forward. Okay, sir, if you would, please give us your name.
Good afternoon. I'm Jose Jimenez, architect. I'm representing the Martinez family.
Okay? Tell us what you want.
Say it again? Excuse-
Tell us what you want, what you're
Oh,
here
okay.
for.
Yes, the family brought this property and it has an existing, when they bought it, it has an existing structure in the back. It was a garage. The Martinez family has 8 children. And what they saw at that point when they purchased the property was to expand it. And he saw in the garage area the opportunity to add. So he went ahead and removed actually add a second story in the garage, over the garage, and he's planning to add 3 bedrooms in order to achieve 6 bedrooms total and 3.5 baths for his family. And that's the first step. Then they realized when they start building that this structure, it's within the setbacks when it was built before. So the first thing that I recommended is, and actually he's required, is to bring it in compliance and to reduce the setback requirement to accommodate that existing structure. But in addition to that, he will have to deal with the situation of adding what is a detached structure for the additional bedrooms. So that's what he's trying to do in order to accommodate his family.
All right, anything else you want to tell us about the property, about the building?
I went ahead and did a evaluation. What he has done so far, it meets code. I mean, he seems to know about construction. He just didn't follow the process of acquiring permit before actually making sure that he was able to do it. But it seems to be okay. He will have, of course, all the utilities if it's permitted. And what he's planning to do later on is begin the renovation of the existing home. What he envisioned is to have a big place for their family. That's basically what I've been told.
And again, what is your job? You're a contractor?
I'm an architect.
Architect, okay. All right, anything else you'd like to tell us, sir?
No, sir, at this time.
Okay, at this time, is there anybody here wish to speak in opposition or in favor of case V61? Hearing and not seeing anybody, it's back to this board for discussion. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Sheffield. Monique.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.